2 words stopped the nation. "Sit down, boy." What followed was the most powerful moment in broadcast history. Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. Because tonight has story isn't just for America. It is for anyone who has ever been silenced and chose to speak. Tuesday night in Manhattan. Cameras rolling. Millions of Americans turned into their favorite political talk show, expecting heated debates and sound bites. But what they got instead was something nobody saw coming, a moment so raw, so genuine, it stopped the entire country in its tracks. In the guest chair, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader of Burkina Faso. He wasn't there to create drama or chase headlines, just to discuss African independence and America's role in West Africa. Simple enough, right? Across from him sat Karoline Leavitt, a sharp-tongued former political spokesperson known for cutting remarks and quick comebacks. These two weren't supposed to clash. The producers had planned a civilized foreign policy discussion. But sometimes live television has other plans. 20 minutes in, Captain Traoré was calmly explaining his country's perspective on Western involvement in African affairs. His voice measured, his points articulated, nothing controversial. Just facts delivered with quiet confidence. That's when Karoline made the move that would haunt her forever. She leaned forward, pointed her finger directly at him, and with all the arrogance she could muster, snapped 2 words that would echo around the world. "Sit down, boy." The studio went dead silent. The host's jaw dropped. Viewers gasped. Social media exploded instantly. But here's what nobody expected. Captain Traoré didn't react the way anyone thought he would. No yelling. No storming off. No raised voice. Instead, he did something far more powerful. He looked at her with the calm that comes from a man who has seen real struggle, real loss, real leadership. Then he stood not in anger, but with the quiet strength of someone who carries the weight of a nation on his shoulders. Walking to the edge of the stage, he looked out at the stunned audience and began to speak in a voice so soft everyone had to lean in to listen. "I come from a place where boys are forced to become men before they learn to dream." The camera zoomed in. Not a single person moved. "You can call me boy on your stage, but where I come from, boys carry nations on their backs. They fight so others don't starve. They lead because no one else will." Karoline's smirk began to fade. She wasn't dealing with some politician she could bully. She was face to face with someone who had lived through things she couldn't imagine. Captain Traoré's voice grew quieter, more personal. "I buried my father under the open sky. No cameras, no speeches. Just dirt, silence, and the sound of my mother's grief." An elderly woman in the front row wept openly. This wasn't politics anymore. This was raw truth being delivered to millions unprepared for its weight. He was killed during a coup funded by outside powers. So when you say, "Sit down, boy," do you mean the boy who watched his village burn? The boy who studied by candlelight because the lights never came back on after colonialism left? A decorated U.S. veteran quietly placed his hand over his heart. He understood what it meant to serve, to sacrifice, to carry responsibility's weight. Captain Traoré's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You don't have to like me, but you will not erase me." A single clap echoed from the back, then another. The entire room erupted not in pity, but in respect, recognizing something genuine in a world of manufactured moments. Karoline, for the first time since cameras started rolling, looked small. As applause died down, Captain Traoré chose his next words carefully. When he raised his eyes again, they held something more powerful than anger or hurt. They held love. "You see, a soldier, but I was raised by a woman who worked with her bare hands. My mother sold firewood, walked miles in worn sandals so I could go to school. She hid her hunger so I wouldn't feel mine." The camera cut to Karoline. Her smirk had vanished completely. She never said sit down. She said, "Stand up, even when it hurts." A young girl whispered to her father, "He sounds like you, Daddy." Grown men started crying. Colonel Jacob Whitmore, a decorated U.S. Army veteran with white hair and decades of service, stood up. His voice trembled. "He's right. I served in Liberia. I've seen what boys like him face. Calling him boy, that's not debate, that's humiliation. What you said dishonors every brave person I served with in Africa." The colonel walked over and extended his hand. "Captain, thank you, not just for defending your people, but for reminding us what true leadership looks like." Their handshake brought tears and thunderous applause. Karoline wasn't finished making a fool of herself. Face flushed red, feeling control slip away, she snapped, "Are we seriously pretending he's a saint now?" The room recoiled. People gasped audibly. Captain Traoré remained calm. "It's not about sainthood, it's about humanity." "What's next?" Karoline barked desperately. "We apologize for being Americans?" A young black student stood up, voice cracking with emotion. "No, you apologize for being cruel." Captain Traoré reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded, creased letter, clearly handled with great care. "This was written by my younger brother 2 days before he was killed during a protest. He was protesting for food." Complete silence. People held their breath. He carefully unfolded the letter. He wrote, "Big brother, if I die, promise me they won't forget why." His voice remained steady despite the weight. "So no, I won't sit down, because I carry the memory of those who were forced to kneel." Karoline had no words. Her hands trembled under the table. A middle-aged black woman in the third row slowly stood. "My son served in Afghanistan. He came back in a box. He was called Boy too, even in uniform." Her voice cracked with years of carried pain. "When you spoke, it felt like my son stood up again." Looking at Captain Traoré through tears, "America needs men like you, not loudmouths who talk over pain." The standing ovation seemed endless. "This is a setup," Karoline hissed. "This isn't journalism, it's emotional theater." The host removed his earpiece. "Karoline, the cameras are rolling. You made this moment. You just didn't expect it to speak back." She slammed her cards down and stormed off, heels echoing like gunshots. The audience didn't boo or cheer, they watched in silence, as someone whispered what millions were thinking. She couldn't handle the truth. During the final segment, an 8-year-old girl appeared on screen from a Chicago hospital, waving a handmade flag. "Hi, Captain, you remembered me. You said I was brave, but tonight you were the bravest." The room melted. Even the host wiped tears, whispering off mic, "My daughter's the same age." Captain Traoré's lips trembled. "You give me strength. You are the future I fight for." The little girl nodded proudly. "Next time someone says, 'Sit down, boy,' I'll tell them to stand up like Captain Traoré." Within hours, the video went viral beyond imagination. Families paused for dinners, students gathered around phones, the world stopped to watch. A week later, Karoline returned to the empty studio with a handwritten note for Captain Traoré. "I said, 'Sit down, boy,' and you stood taller than I've ever seen a man stand. I was wrong. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope your people and my daughter grow up learning from your strength, not my ignorance." When he read it publicly, Captain Traoré said, "We don't heal through silence. We heal through courage," and she just showed some. A single empty chair now sits center stage where Captain Traoré once stood. Unlabeled, unexplained, but everyone knows what it means. Dignity, courage, and what's possible when we choose grace over anger, truth over theatrics, humanity over hate. At the United Nations later that year, Captain Traoré held up that same handmade American flag from the 8-year-old girl. "This flag was given to me by a child who believed I stood for something good. That means more than any medal." Looking into the camera one final time, "America, don't just clap change." What part of this story hit you hardest? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below.